Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday show. This should be an interesting night. I made some changes to my internet bandwidth. We could be in trouble. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But anyway, I'm here tonight with my two favorite people in the whole world, Terry DeMantis.
Hello.
And Jen T. Maxey.
Hello.
How you doing, Jen?
I'm good. I am remembering naughty things that I said on Polly's stream before I joined you. And naturally that makes me giggle because it was inappropriate, but he was reading this article about cannibalism and then wondering about, like, it made it sound like he was wondering about what it tasted like. So I had to tell him in chat that Chinese people didn't taste like Chinese food, and no Mexicans didn't taste like tacos. But I did tell him that cryptic might taste like cats, and he told me so. You're welcome.
No, I mean, I think that the Mexican women might taste like tacos.
I'm almost afraid to ask a woman what a man tastes like. That could be nasty. Anyway, how you doing, Terry?
I'm all right. I'm amused by Twitter, as we were mentioning earlier. But other than that, nothing terribly exciting to report.
Had a fun day on Twitter. I got into the atheism battle. Got a lot of people DMing me and answering me.
Kind of a cat among the pigeons there.
Yeah, you know, I try not to get too hard into this, and I thought I had a pretty innocent take. I was just saying that atheism is a religion in and of itself, which I didn't really think anybody would argue with me on that, because it is pretty much what it is. It's like a club or a membership or a cult, however you want to look at it. And boy, did the atheists prove me right, because they reacted as if I told them Christ didn't exist, or told a Catholic that Christ didn't exist. That's exactly the response I got from them. A typical religious reprisal. So they just made my point for me. So
I saw Reject getting involved as well a little bit.
Yeah, well, she is a very religious young lady. Faith is very important to her. So I kind of expected her to get into it at some point, because I know she follows me. But she's Catholic, and I grew up Catholic. So I of all the people I know, Catholics, and being one of them, is definitely the person that would have the most to say on the subject. So I almost expected her to come up and say something. So
my religious views have kind of wobbled, because I was Catholic by default because I got sent to a Catholic school.
Catholic
so I
by
kind
default.
of just assumed it must be right. I never actually properly believed, but I just okay, they say it's true, whatever. And then as a teenager, I went into the angry atheist phase, where it's like, no, you're all idiots. How can you believe this nonsense? And then as I got older, I kind of grew up, and I okay, I don't actually know one way or the other. There's no way to know. So let people have their beliefs, whatever gets them through the day, let them have it. There's no point shitting on people just because you disagree with, what their religious practices happen to be.
Yeah.
I would say for me, it was an early process. So for one, I probably questioned things at an early age, mostly because I stopped going to church at a young age, but also because I know it's not good to diagnose yourself, but I do think I'm mildly autistic. So there's just times where somebody's trying to feed me things that sounds like they're peddling crap. And I just had those encounters enough as a kid with certain religious people where I'm like, even as a kid, I was like, I'm questioning this. And then they would take me to see Santa Claus. And I was like, okay, I know this is fake as shit. I'm sorry. The sticky man in the outfit isn't winning me over with this one. And so it felt like the same lie as Santa Claus. So by the time
that was for me as well.
And by the time I was 11, it was just, I would be reading the prayer and I was like, I feel like I'm talking to myself. Like I'm really creating an imaginary friend in my head. And in all honesty, I thought to myself, you know what, if if at the end of my day God ends up being real, I think the best bet for me is just to try to be a good person, you know, because I could see that there's a lot of, like, you know, when you're a kid, yeah, you hear the 10 Commandments, they seem like good advice.
Yeah, some of them.
You know, so I was like, you know, at the end of my day, as I've gotten older, I'm still in that mind, and maybe it's because, yeah, I've gone back to Christianity, the different versions of it, the different storylines, and a lot of it is just philosophy. You know, you can take it as philosophy too, and just advice. You can question a lot of it too because it's philosophy. But I thought, you know, to myself, God should be personal anyway. The Bible tells you that too. I think the different Bibles that speak on Christianity say it in their own way too. Your relationship with God is kind of your own thing. So at the end of the day, even as somebody who questions the Bible, or at least that aspect of it, no, I'm not ashamed to die and meet God, because, you know, a lot of the stuff that was in that book, I took as good advice, and then there was stuff that I was like, you know, try to limit the amount of harm you do to people. Try to be a good person. That's easy enough.
I don't think God's going to be angry with you if you are. I think it's very, and maybe I'm going to get myself in trouble here, but I think it's very intelligent not to make assumptions that you know for sure about God. I always can, from my perspective, I always said to people, I'm not so wise to be able to say yes or no. So all I can do is what you're saying, is just try to be a good person. And then when God says, why didn't you believe in me? I was like, well, I'm just a human. How do you expect me to know this stuff? Only another God would know that for sure that you existed. So what I did was I just tried to listen to what you say and do what you told me to do. And then eventually if I meet you, then I'll know for sure. And there shouldn't be anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
I don't know why I was just reminded of Rowan Atkinson when he's got his sketch where he's playing as the devil. He's like breaking up the crowd and, like, you know, you people go over here, you people go over there. He's like, atheists, you must be feeling a right bunch of tits right about now.
Yeah, what do you do at that point when you're the person who said God definitely does not exist, and then you're standing in front of him and you're like, oh, geez, I'm screwed now. You always got to leave room for being wrong, you know?
Yeah. Well, and I think that's one of the ways I kind of matured as I got older, is I recognize that there is no way of knowing one way or the other.
It's arrogant to think you can be, you know, so.
It's also, and I admit, maybe it's just because I do love the world that I live in. Like, I have moments where I'm realistic. The world is a frightful place. It's an absolutely frightful place. You leave your house and I think I'm grateful for everything that I have. My ancestors did a shit ton to make sure that I was happy. So when people are like, oh, you're privileged, I'm like, maybe, but that's because people in my history did a shit ton to make sure that I could be okay. But that's just showing appreciation for the things I have. I also appreciate the work that I've done to maintain that. And that's something that nobody else can claim other than myself. You know? And that's not arrogance. That's just living my life. God, I don't think is going to judge me for that. I think he's going to judge us. If he did judge us or gave a shit, I think he would have done more anyway. In all honesty, like I said before, the world is a really, really dark place. But at the same time, though, you know, I still love this planet, because as dark as it is, there's so many freaking amazing things that you just see all the time. So, you know, I don't know. There's this part of me that doesn't want to throw God out either, just because it is such an amazing place. Yeah. There are so many amazing things that I can't explain, that, you know, scientists struggle to explain, because they admit it's amazing too.
Only reason I am agnostic is because there's a certain symmetry to the universe that doesn't make sense from a random perspective. It is designed. From my perspective, just looking at the way things work, there's got to be an intelligent designer behind all of this.
Yeah, I'm the opposite, where if I had to pick yes or no, I'd say there is no God. But I recognize that I mean, that's just based on me. Like,
Mhm.
I have no way of knowing one way or the other, but my intuition is telling me no.
There's just things that, you know, there's the opposite of evidence proposition that says if you can't figure out what it is, it must be God. And I don't really subscribe to that. But if you sit back and you look at the universe that we know so far, there are things happening that don't make any sense if you look at it from a random perspective. If you just say it's not God, it just happened that way. If you use that as your reasoning behind it, it doesn't make sense. Things are too well perfect for it to do that. Even the simplest things as life on this planet, it does not make sense if you think in random fashion. It has to be something had to put things in a certain way. We are the only large planet with a single large moon. They have found no other planet anywhere in the universe that has an Earth-sized planet with a moon-sized moon. We're the only ones.
There is one thing that makes me question, and like, that's free will. Because without God, if everything is deterministic, then we should not have free will. Like, if everything is just chemicals interacting, then you don't actually have any control over anything, because everything would be completely deterministic. You couldn't decide what to do any more than magnesium decides to dissolve in acid.
Right.
And so
where do
that makes me think there must be something to it, but at the same time, I can't quite get all the way to God. I don't know. I'm kind of just sort of everything else I'm okay with, but free will is the one that's tripping me out.
Where do we get the desire to believe? Because people have faith. That's undeniable. People do have faith. Where along the line in the development of humans, if you assume that we weren't put on here by God, which I don't think we were, I believe in evolution, but where along the line do we develop the known facility that we belong to, that there is a guiding force? Where did we get that from? Did it develop randomly to feel that? I mean, because humans it's innate to feel like we need to belong to a part of a group, and that there's some overseeing force. That's where faith comes from. 83% of the people on this planet believe in God. Why?
It's all born from a desire to understand the world. And the things that you can't understand, you tend to ascribe to a supernatural force. And so they didn't know why the sun would rise and set at the times it did. So they said, well, God must be doing it.
Right.
And then as science developed, it's like, oh, okay, we understand more and more and more.
Yeah, that's the absence of info I was telling you about before. If you don't know what it is, you got to assume it's God.
No, but that's why. Like, they needed to understand the world, and they didn't have the means. But why would we do?
Why is that the answer? We don't know what it is, so we say it's a God. Why is it we don't know what it is, so we think it's the planet? You know, why do we pick God as the reason why?
God is just a fill-in for some supernatural force above us
that we can't explain because it's above us, right?
Yeah. So when they say God, like different cultures had different terms for what this supernatural force was. It's just that they didn't know how the world worked, and so they decided something bigger than us must be responsible, because how does the ocean know when to go up and down? How did the tides work? Right. They didn't know any of this stuff, so to them it was magical and must be supernatural.
We're still trying to figure this stuff out. I mean,
yeah, of course.
We don't know what's inside a black hole. We may never know. We know that we've said that there's dark matter and dark energy. We can't prove it. We just
but we do know that
understand.
We do know that there's not fathers inside a black hole.
See, I think there's that explanation, but then there's also the timing of things. Like, sometimes people will think that they're experiencing God, not because they can't explain a situation with science. Like, say you're in the middle of being caught up in a flood, you were caught up by a river or something, and you get a branch. Well, yeah, the branch was there. That wasn't God, but the fact that it was just there at the
Coincidence?
right time when you needed it, yeah, you get that feeling of, well, it felt like somebody was watching out for you.
Yeah.
It was coincidence, but you know,
Maybe.
and I get, you know, but you still get that feeling of, wow, something was still watching out for you. And it's
Yeah.
even weirder when it's something outside of a branch. Like say it's a wild animal that went out of its way to save you. It's not that it's out of the realm of nature to do that, but it's still weird. So you're
Yeah.
like, why did that happen? And so
Right.
you start you do start to think, well, maybe something is watching out for me a little bit. Maybe it is coincidence, but it's nice to think that somewhere out there there's something that maybe has a little bit, is trying to help you a little bit. It's like, hey, you suck. Here's a little nudge to help you out a little.
Yeah.
It's nice to think that.
Yeah. Before we get too much further, we should probably say hello to everybody in chat for coming out and hanging out with us. I'm scrolling back as far as I can go. I think Cynic was the first person in chat that wasn't a host. And Assassin of the Gray, Assassin. God, I can never say that right. Assassin of the Gray. It's the underscores that get me. From the distance my eyes are to the screen, it's hard to make out. And let's see, I'm scrolling. I know, yeah, there's Keyberdam. Hi, sweetie. Who else? Is that everybody? Oh, Cannibalistic Wizard. Yeah, I'm getting there. Cannibalistic Wizard on the YouTube channel this time. Original Shroom is out there. How you doing, Shroom? Mash. Hello, Mash. K-Shoal and Frosted Glass and Mr. Adam, our weekend host. And you say, still scrolling. Wow, people are talking. You guys are going on and on here. Oh, there's Johnny Hellcat. I finally got down to the bottom of the list. Our Thursday night host is out there. Hope everybody's doing well tonight. So yeah, I mean, I really wasn't expecting to get into a big conversation on Twitter about this, but as soon as I said it and I sent that message, it didn't take long for me to get quite the response that I got back from them. So it's like, all right, and you guys didn't even see the DMs I got. Holy mackerel!
Do you not have your DMs closed so that only?
No.
See, I don't want random weirdos messaging me, so it's only people I follow that are allowed to message me.
Yeah. The reason they're open is because very rarely does anybody ever DM me. So it's like, oh, no one ever does. I'm not going to make it hard, you know. Once in a while, someone will send me a DM. It's like, oh yeah, I don't care about you. Goodbye. You know, no big deal. But yeah, I want to give people the opportunity to say hi to me if they want to say hi to me. That's fine.
But the thing is, about 2/3 of my Twitter followers are porn bots. So if I followed them back, or if I opened my DMs, I would probably get flooded.
Oh yeah.
That or find yourself with the wrong kind of spam that's followed by Trojans.
Yeah.
I do notice that lately I've got they're not porn bots. They're actually humans. They're actually people that are kind of in the OnlyFans area, but it's not a porn bot, because a couple of them I've actually talked to, and they're, unless it's a chat GPT level person on the other end or a bot like that, they seem like reasonable people. I mean, they're not spamming me or trying to get me to get on their OnlyFans like that, but I guess they said, you know, when I reply to some things on Twitter that are seen by a lot of people, and you know, like I'll talk back to Jeremy or something like that, the quartering, and a lot of people follow him, and they'll see me respond back to him, and they'll say they may not like what I said, so they'll come back to me, and if they like, you know, the interaction, they'll follow me, you know. So that's where I keep getting, just because I'm active on Twitter, I keep on picking people up. I'm not trying to get more people on. I don't solicit, but they just, I got like 400 people following me. Like, what the fuck, why are you people following me?
Speaking of Twitter, I reported Joe Biden for posting misinformation on Twitter.
That made me laugh for like 20 minutes. I'm out there putting dishes away, and my girlfriend's sitting next to me, and she's drying, and I'm putting dishes away, and we're just not talking because we're just doing stuff. And then I'll just start laughing at her, and she's like, "What the hell's wrong with you? You keep laughing." And I said, "Terry's driving me nuts." I tried to explain to her what was going on and went over her head. She's not an online
And
person.
ages ago, I actually reported Gavin Newsom for transphobia. I forget exactly what he said, but he
Probably
said something
legitimate.
about he said something about men and women and whatever it was. I said it was like contrary to the narrative at the time. So I was like, no, that's transphobic. I'm reporting you.
Yeah, it really made my day when I saw you. I'm going to report Biden. I was like, oh, God. It's a unique perspective because you can, if somebody in America did that, everyone would be like, yeah, so what? But you get somebody from Australia reporting the American president. That's pretty fucking funny. I mean, it's just, I couldn't keep a straight face for, of course, all I'm doing is annoying her. She's like, stop it. Stop laughing. But it's funny. Anyway.
Well, it was meant to be funny. So
I got it. I definitely got it. Have a good night, Mash.
No, it's just funny. It's like everyone is saying, "Oh, this is bullshit. This is a lie." It's like, well, I'm going to report him for misinformation then.
Mm-hmm. Did you see that he allowed a federal oil drilling lease in Alaska?
No.
Yeah, he got in office and said no more federal land permits for drilling. That's it, no more. And of course, as soon as he did that, the whole world blew up. But just a couple of days ago, he gave the oil companies the Willow oil drilling platform. I think it's called Willow or something like that. Gave them a new lease to be able to drill in Alaska. I think it's offshore or it's close to shore or something like that. And everybody who's, I don't know, probably under 25 fucking lost their mind because they're all climate people. They're all young climate people. And they're like, you're ruining our planet, blah, 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 blah. We voted for you. And you said there'd be no more drilling, blah, 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 blah. He gives Willow's like a huge drilling company. So it's like significant that he did this. So they're all pissed. And one person said, well, fine, I'm just going to vote independent. I was like, good, please do vote independent and split the Democratic vote so the Republicans will win. Then they'll be drilling everywhere.
And I'm just explaining to people in chat what Biden's lie was. He posted a fake letter that was supposedly written by a little girl complaining about the wage gap, and then he vowed to fix it.
Yeah. JB says, there are no better places to drill than Alaska. There are places you can drill besides, obviously, offshore, both in the Pacific and the Atlantic. There are good reserves in both oceans. But logistics becomes a problem, getting it from water onto land and then transporting it. It costs extra. If you drill on land, there's trucks right there. You're good to go. You don't have to worry about ships and weather and all that kind of stuff. So Alaska's a better option.
So if I were the type of troll to go on any of the sites where the teenagers go, I'd just like to point out that most of the hair dyes that they use are made with petroleum oil.
Yeah. All the blue and pink hairs, that's all petroleum oil. That's true. True. So
tragic.
Yeah. People don't understand. You're putting up these windmills, for wind power. All those windmills use oil to run. So it's like not saving anything.
I pointed that out to Blair White because she did a little premiere, which she was recording. And I know that because she read my comment, because I joked about Dylan going the wrong route because I think he keeps hitting on gay men. Gay men tend to not really want to go for women. But I'm not saying they won't go for trans women, but they really don't want to go for women. So if you're going that route, I don't think you're going the right route. Read that.
They're even a little icky about trans women because trans women look like women. Mm-hmm. They prefer, I would say most gays prefer a man that looks like a man, not a man that looks like a woman,
Yeah.
She basically just clarified what I said. Like, she knew what I meant. She just clarified it because she is from that angle. Like, I know I can't speak from that angle, but I talk to enough gay people to know what they're talking about. And Dylan is going in the entirely different route if he was looking for a partner. because he's confused everybody with it, what he's done. So,
JB says, I meant like a better state, like Oklahoma, for example. I don't know what the reserves are. I know Alaska is huge with reserves. I know Texas is pretty big with reserves. I don't know about Oklahoma. I really don't know what their oil drilling capacity is. I think when we look at continental U.S. as opposed to like Hawaii and Alaska, you could probably get away with things a little bit better when the states are further away than the actual mainland. Maybe that's the reason why he allowed Alaska.
I just don't understand that reasoning though, because you would need to build pipes between Alaska and us to you, which honestly doesn't make sense because we wanted to build pipes between us and you in the first place.
Right. But isn't the Alaska pipeline already exists, so they don't have to build anything extra. That's another reason why Alaska's a good shot.
Well, if they're producing more, they're going to want more. So
assuming that the pipeline is too small, yeah, they'll probably want to put another pipeline in. But if the one that we have in already is capable of taking the extra flow, then you're good to go.
Yeah, but that's always going to be brought into question. Like you always ask how old, how big, how much you need.
Right.
They're absolutely going to be like, yeah, we want more because they don't have enough. That's why we were asking for bigger pipes in the first place.
This big thing about Keystone is that was so well done and was so nice, ready to be put into place. And Biden got in and nixed it, man. It was just like the worst possible thing. It would have benefited both of us in a big way. And
I'm not against it because you guys putting out puts pressure on our guys to put more out. I'm on the boat where I would be pro America and US utilizing the resources that we already have and then cutting off sources where we know the sources are coming from vile people. Just saying. I'm pro oil, but I'm pro oil coming from our oil and gas, all of them coming from our own resource plots. So I'm not against this. I just hope that it's going to put some pressure on our own guys because
this is only temporary anyway. It's every 4 years that you have to deal with this. I'm assuming that there's nobody for Biden to really, there's nobody really to take Biden's place in 2 years. They have nobody on their bench. There's nobody there that anybody would vote for anyway. It's not going to be Buttigieg. It's not going to be Camel Toe. It's none of those people are going to be anywhere near either Trump or DeSantis. I mean, I think at least from this point in time, unless they make some kind of mistake and do something stupid, I think either Trump or DeSantis is a pretty easy win. Who's on their bench? Who would you possibly vote for? It's certainly not going to be Kamala.
Ocasio-Cortez.
Too young to run. Yeah, she's too young to run.
She can identify as 35.
Yeah. But nobody's going to vote for Buttigieg. He's screwed up his position here as as Department of Transportation. So obviously,
one massive train derailment poisoning the entire city between friends.
Yeah. And Kamala didn't even get the vote from her own state. So she's not going to be in. So who are they going to do? There's nobody on their bench. Who's the person that could take? I mean, there's nobody even popular. What, Elizabeth Warren? Yeah, I mean, look at the people who are available. Is there anybody in there that has any kind of chance? Especially against DeSantis. God forbid the people. If Trump says I'm not gonna run, or I can't imagine it happening, and he says put all of your votes behind DeSantis. Holy crap, that's a fucking avalanche.
Okay, Seradamantine says the current press secretary, Corinne Pear or whatever her name is.
Yeah. Yeah, well, she's not doing. She's not doing a great job in her position either. There's nobody in his administration that's doing a great job.
But she does look like she'd be at least 35.
I have no idea what her age is. Is she a star on their team?
No, I think he's making fun of them.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So I don't know. All I know is
give it to Jen Psaki.
Jen Psaki. All I could say is that whoever does get in, the first thing that's going to happen is there's going to be all kinds of drilling going on. And I bet you that Keystone Pipeline's open back up again. I bet you they hire people and that whole process starts up. It's just too lucrative for both of us not to do it. It makes us energy independent again. You know, we're not dealing with Saudis anymore. Yeah, no, I mean, the Democrats don't. But it keeps us out of the hands of the Saudi. You know, we're with our buddies from the north, you know. That's what it's all about. Yeah, so we'll see. I'm not sure what's going to happen with Trump because
I actually agree with Frosted. Frosty's saying that a lot of Americans think Trump is responsible for the insurrection, like the January 6th guided tour. So him running is going to be risky because a lot of people think that he instigated January 6th.
He could, I don't understand why he hasn't done it yet, but he could knock that down pretty quick. But because he is on camera on the 6th saying, go protest peacefully. It's on video. If he drives that home on every commercial that he does, if that clip is in there, people are going to be like, what do you mean he said peacefully? Yeah.
I think that clip has been going around since he said it. And
has it? I've never once seen it on TV. Not once.
Well, I don't know what's on American TV, but it's not on American TV. Media, I've seen it everywhere.
Yeah, but the people who are voting, not a lot of those people are. I mean, they're on Facebook maybe, but a lot of people avoid that kind of stuff on Facebook. Oh, Skep's in chat. Hey, Skep.
Hey, Skep Talk.
I had to change the name of your stream. For the Tuesday night stream, you had the number as 1949. Somewhere, it was supposed to be 1948, so I went and changed it. I'm sorry, I should have told you first. I'm a bad man. But we get 1949 tonight. So if you're wondering why we both have the same number, I changed it. Anyway, hi Lisa.
We're getting towards current year in terms of.
Yeah.
the episode numbers.
Yeah.
Well, I have predictions for the future, but it might be internet future. So okay. So this is taking it to a different story. It does take us back to Blair White, and I pointed this out to Blair White because she seems reasonable. And I'm not saying this to hate on the Muslim community because genuinely speaking, the lady in that clip from TikTok who
what was that?
Terry. That's Terry. It's all good. He's got somebody flying over him or something. But yeah, the lady on the TikTok who was addressing Jeffrey Marsh, like his crowd really went after her. Like a lot of the stuff that they were doing, honestly, pretty seriously fucked up. Like taking pictures of her daughter's schools, addressing her with those, posting pictures of her without her hijab online. It just goes on and on with the list of things that they were doing to her. She's from England, okay? The Muslim community in England, a lot different from yours. Not saying that yours can't go crazy too, but theirs have done shit. And they do shit. They are the other side of activism that people don't generally address because most people know Muslims like the lady on the TikTok who are just genuine people who are living next door to you, you know? But I saw responses from imams that I haven't seen in 7 years. And some of those guys go to the ones that are kind of scary. So I'm just saying that these activists from the trans community need to shut the fuck up because that's not the angle you want to go down. Muslims are polite to you because some of them think you're mentally ill. They think you're mentally ill, and those guys are being kind. The ones who don't, and I'm not saying this to be mean or to throw Muslims under the bus, the ones who don't like you will throw you off a building.
Yeah. They don't seem to realize that they're making a connection with people who hate them.
Like they really, really are. And the stuff that they did to that woman would absolutely justify people pulling shit on them. It will. I'm a little bit like, the moment I saw that response from that guy, my tinglers went, oh, okay, that's a different story.
Trans activists, man, I have a hard time with them. I have no problem with trans people. Everybody I know who's trans, I love every one of them. But the activists, man, they really get me. They give trans people a bad name.
They really do. Some of them are kind of dangerous because they're stupid and narcissistic. And I'm not, and I do mean what I said. Like, you know, that Muslim lady she didn't deserve any of that stuff. She seemed like a sweet lady. I wouldn't mind having her as a neighbor, because she looks like the chill person who just wants to make jokes and has a family and cares about kids. And honestly, I agree with her. Jeffrey Marsh is a groomer.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
a 100% groomer. I don't conflate him with trans people. I conflate him with a fucking groomer. So I will stand with her on that grounds, because we should protect children from weirdos.
It's definitely grooming activity for somebody to tell you to not confide in your parents. That's groomer activity right there. They're trying to separate you from your parents. They want to take over your life. They want to take over the responsibility that the parents have and put it on themselves, so that you go to them for validation. That's groomer.
It's very cultish. It's like he's a cult leader trying to bring new victims into the fold.
And I'm going to be real with you, Lisa. I don't even conflate the two. I don't. Because you're just somebody living your life. The activists are going out of their way to cause problems for people because they're angry, lonely, shitty people who honestly have nothing better to do. And narcissists, I call them trash can people because of Meghan Markle. I really love South Park for that episode, because it explains narcissism in a way that I appreciate. Trash can people. That's what these activists are. And they aren't trans people most of the time. Some of them are, but most of the time I'm like, you okay, you're probably autism.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm on the spectrum, so I don't know if I'm allowed to use that line, but I'm just gonna. Yeah. Autism. Harry Potter.
I don't think, unless you've got like a proper diagnosis.
I'm an 80s kid. That's the problem, Terry. I was diagnosed in the 80s, so I really don't know. And my parents.
My rule is, if you haven't been professionally diagnosed, then you're probably fine.
I mean, it doesn't hurt me if I am. I'm just saying, I think it's autism.
Yeah, I understand that autism can be severe, but I think a lot of people have it, but they have a very, very mild version of it. You know,
it's enough to be annoying, but not enough to actually cause you problems.
Well, having problems with social cues, I think, is more common with Asperger's than people think. There's a lot of people. I believe a lot of people have Asperger's, but they're able to still function, and no one knows.
I think the inability to read social cues is more to do with social media, where so much interaction is happening not in person that the social cues aren't there for people to learn.
Right.
Oh no, I had all that stuff before the internet. Oh
no, I know. I'm just saying in general,
it doesn't help.
The decline in the ability to read social cues is more a function of social media.
You can't see people's face, so you can't see all the little things that you do when you're interacting with somebody. You know, you're talking to somebody, and if you look off to the side, people realize, oh, he's looking off to the side. He's thinking about something. An Asperger's person would not catch that, and we can't catch it because we don't see each other's faces. So we get out of.
Also, tone of voice is lost if you're talking on social media,
especially if you're texting on social media.
That's what I mean. It's like there's a big difference between how you the same words can have radically different meaning depending on how you say it.
Yeah, I mean, I could be even without text. If you just talking. If I could say something and sound a certain way, but you may not know I'm actually smiling when I'm saying it.
Yeah.
Well, it's like
the more cues that are removed, the harder it is to communicate.
Right.
So
Right.
this talking like this is better than typing on Twitter, but not as good as if we were talking in person.
Maybe someday I'll do a face cam. But you're going to have to be on board with me because I'm not going to do it by myself.
I've shown my face before. I'm happy to show it again if need be. But
Jen has no problem
have-
because Jen's cute, so she's covered.
Yeah.
But I'm not cute.
I would have to switch computers because the computer I stream from doesn't have a camera, so I would have to make sure I streamed from my laptop instead if I needed to show my face.
Well, there's USB cameras out there that are dirt cheap, so you could always do that too if you don't want to get on your laptop.
Yeah, I'm not sitting in front of my computer, so it's like I'm sitting in front of a laptop with the microphone pointed at me, but plugged into the PC. So it'd be easier just to stream from the laptop and then just use that webcam that already exists.
I have a lot of laptops, but they're all pretty old, and I don't think any of them could run OBS. I don't think they're all potatoes. Yeah.
My laptop isn't great, but it would be fine for me to stream from because it's not that intensive to broadcast.
Are you on a PC or a laptop, Jen?
I'm on a PC, and I technically could just like plug it in. Like I just have my phone.
Yeah, I know you have a camera because we've seen you before.
But yeah.
For those of you who haven't seen Jen, she's cutie. Yeah, I mean, I've had a camera forever because I didn't really consider a PC complete unless it has a camera. It's just a narcissistic, not even narcissistic. What's what I'm looking for? A compulsive kind of thing. I need this, this, and this, and this, and this. I may never use that, but a computer is not complete unless it has one kind of deal. So I've had one forever, and I never really used it that much until I started having medical problems. Because when COVID hit, they didn't want you to come in for anything. They wanted to do like a teleconference kind of thing with you. And that's when I actually started using it. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's a 1080p camera. It looks pretty good. But yeah, I very rarely use it.
See, I get what you're saying, Skep Tock, about the taking a picture and using it as an avatar. But believe it or not everybody's really good at the selfies. Like I've tried that. And by the time I get
that's
to
my
like
camera.
Once I get to like picture 8 or 9, I kind of hate myself because I'm like, my face just makes weird I'll just make weird faces. I don't know why. I'll go from like, I'm smiling. Why do I look like I hate myself?
Does that show up on stream? Can you actually see them?
Not really. It's too zoomed in on your hand, so you couldn't see that you were extending the middle finger. It was
There we go. Kinda.
I think that's why I admit I was a little bit tickled about my camera, because with the camera you really aren't doing angles. The camera's just doing it for you.
All you have to do is you have to get yourself one of those circle lights, because when you had your camera on, it was pretty dark.
Yeah, I have other lights in that room. I just
what do they call those things? There's a name for them. It's not circle light. It's something like that, but I can't remember what it's called. They are a circle of LEDs with a clear center where you put the camera in for when you're recording videos and stuff like that. So I know exactly what they are, but I can't remember what the name of them is. Maybe it's a circle light. I don't know. I would have to get one because even with the bright whiteness of the StreamYard screen, that wouldn't be enough to illuminate me.
I'm not opposed to it either. It's just, it really has to do with the size of my room and how much heat that would give off. Like, I don't know that they necessarily do. I'd have to talk to, I work in a store that sells,
Frosty got it. Ring light. There it is.
But
and Skep.
It's just, how much heat does it radiate? Like, can I use it during the summer? Because if it's hot, I ain't doing
LED.
it.
It's LED. Generates no heat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I ain't doing it. Don't raise my temperature in my room in the summer.
I actually had to do the same thing because all the lights in the computer room where I'm broadcasting from were all filament bulbs. So I had to replace everything in here with LEDs during the summer because it got unbearably hot. I mean, I was running the air conditioner with the LED bulbs. It was so warm in here. So If it wasn't for a good microphone, I would have been in trouble because the microphone I'm using doesn't pick up the air conditioner.
Yeah, that's
So
usually where I'm at with that one. But one of the things I have learned too is using other things to enhance the light I have. Like so my room is a tan color, which works against me. It would actually be better if it was a white room, believe it or not.
well, yeah, if you
Because
have a camera on you, sure.
you know, light off of white. But yeah, I need a new lamp anyway, because the one I have is actually taped together.
This room is kind of a mint green with a middle green carpet. Not very intense. It's kind of a washed out. It's not olive drab. It's not a dark. It's kind of a pale, pale, and it's not so intense to be like mint green. It's like a very washed out green. So it wouldn't be so bad, but I really want to do like a medium slate blue, because it's got kind of the green in here and everything that's in here. I mean, this is my mom's house, so everything in here is all kind of female-ish because it's her house, you know. I like to kind of transition this more to like a male room. So I like to get like a slate blue in here and that kind of stuff. So maybe someday. I'm not in any rush. I got so many other projects to take care of this house I'm not going to be using a camera anytime soon. So I don't really have to worry about it for now, but eventually I'm going to change everything around.
I'm not saying this to pick on you, Cynic. It's just because I've learned things through abandoned house videos. But if you take off that 70s wallpaper, look to see if there's newspaper underneath, because that was a thing.
Yeah. I remember hearing about that. And
if you do, look for dates, because that's neat as shit.
Well, everywhere else in my house is that very thin dark wood paneling, I think they call it. The rest of the house is this dark wood paneling. Everything the house is like almost black. It's so dark. If you don't have a couple of nightlights on, you can't see where you're going. It's so dark in this house. I need to get rid of all of that paneling. I got so many things here I have to fix. It's just ridiculous. As soon as I sit down and think about it, I'm like, oh my God, I could have fixed this. I got to fix that. I got to fix this.
I just made Shania. Oh, that's cool. That's still cool too, though.
You guys want to get to some of our topics here?
Yeah.
I suppose we probably should, with 12 minutes left in the show.
I you know, let's start with the first one, because I actually know about that one. I watched the video on that one.
Tell us what you know.
So based off of the video, the Americans are trying to claim that the Russians flew a plane. There were two planes, and they flew one underneath, and the one that flew underneath might have, like, the airwaves probably sent the drone into a loop. But they're also claiming that they sprayed jet fuel onto it, like they just took a piss on it. And they were questioning that story, because if they'd done something like that, it would have hit the jet pilot behind them, and that doesn't seem like a nice thing to do to one of your buddies. So they're probably claiming it was the air draft that probably sent it going into the ocean. But the video on it was pretty amazing. Yeah, thank you, U.S. military, for your lovely graphics. Someone looks like a Russian plane taking a piss on a drone.
The Russians jets dropped jet fuel on the MQ-9 Reaper, an unprecedented action. And two of the officials said the intelligence suggested the intent seemed to be to throw the drone off course or disable its surveillance capabilities. It was Russia's leadership's intention to be aggressive on the intercept, said one of the officials. So yeah, that whole thing with dumping fuel on it had a purpose. They were trying to get it to crash without firing at it directly. So they dumped fuel on it to try to down it without actually pulling a trigger. And it was two Su-35s. Was that the plane? I can't find it here in the news. MSNBC is just like the fucking worst website in the world. They never have anything that makes any sense. Maybe Fox News will have it. I'm not going to go to CNN. You can't pay me. FoxNews.com.
So, like I said in chat, like the thing that I should be focused on, but I was like the graphics in it made it seem like the pilot was Mothra, just like on this drone that's just spinning out of control. I'm like, yeah, I guess so. Also, I had a question for Skep Talk or anybody in the chat who knows this stuff, because you guys might too. Are those things floatable? Like, can't they float a little bit? I'm not saying the Russians wouldn't have picked it up and been like, hey, we got your drone or something, but don't they float?
The news said it when it hit the water, it broke apart. And it's in deep water, so they don't think they're going to be able to recover it. Although the Russians say they're going to try.
Okay.
So
okay.
It's in international water, so anybody can claim salvage rights.
So if it did just fall, though, like without the crashing part, would it have floated?
I think if you placed it in water, it would probably float for a period of time.
Okay. I just would think that would be a feature you would try to add.
You know, it's not on the MSN website. It's not on MSNBC's website anywhere in any detail. It's not even on CNN's website at all. This is a major incident, and I can't find anything on it on the internet.
Try Ground News. They usually have like all the different news sites together, so you can see some network that some news organization that covered the story.
Is it groundnews.org?
I think so. Let me look it up.
It's not groundnews.com, that's for sure. I just got attacked from groundnews.com.
Ground.news.
Oh, ground.news. Oh yeah, here it is. And I don't see it listed here either. What the hell? It's been memory hold. There's nothing here about it. There's Ukraine news, nothing about it. There's all kind of Aaron Rodgers, oil prices, Axiom. I don't see anything here about it. Oh, here it is. Here it is. All the way down at the fucking bottom. Russian to try recovering downed U.S. drone as U.S. vows to protect our equities. Equities? U.S. national U.S. races salvage. Russia will work to recover wreckage. Attempt to receive arms salvage U.S. donors. It will try to recover. A lot about the recovery, not about the incident. I give up. Not important. What did Skep Talk say? Oh, it's SU-27s. All right. Yeah, two of them, and one of them ran into it. Broke its propeller, and it crashed.
I mean, I'm not saying that's all not impossible and stuff. It's just the design of the craft reminded me of like a giant dragonfly. And so I thought a design like that would be meant to, if it landed on water, it should at least float for a bit so you could catch it.
Yeah, I don't think they made it waterproof, and everything's bolted on. It's aluminum. Aluminum, mostly aluminum and carbon fiber. So just like a regular airplane, like a passenger plane or something like that, you can land on the water like Sully did if you're gentle about it. But there's nobody, if it's damaged, then there's nobody that controls. It's just going to nosedive.
Yeah.
But
it's all about size and perspective. Like, you can't tell how big a thing is from just a picture.
Yeah. How do you compare it to something else? How big is a drone? I mean, the way they put it in the picture, it could be as big as an airliner, or it could be as small as a Piper Cub. You can't tell. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And also when I think drones, like I go from anywhere from something that's just big enough to carry a camera to now something well, I mean, I know they carry guns or at least bullets and things like that.
They can,
missiles.
Yes.
So obviously it's got to be bigger, but yeah, that's why I envy what you guys do when it comes to mechanics and stuff. Like I understand that it works, but when I see an image, I'm still going to go like, are you going for floating with that one?
It's a $32 million drone that they're talking about losing here. So it's not like it's cheap.
No, it's not. But
that was a surveillance drone. That wasn't for fighting.
Maybe just go with what the Chinese are doing. Go cheap. Just send balloons.
Balloons. There you go. If only we can hear them.
It's easy. Just put Trudeau's face on it. They'll never see it coming.
His white face or his black face?
His Cuban face. It'll confuse them.
Okay. Oh man. Well, we'll see what happens. It's a race. Now we have to see whether we're going to get to it first, or they're going to get to it first, which is a problem in its own because it puts us in close proximity of each other with potential military forces. Mike R is in chat. How's it going, Mike? Yeah. So I mean, this is not over. If we're both going for that downed wreckage, you know, I'm sure it's not going to be just two people in you know, recovery craft. There's going to be, you know, planes flying around, and there's going to be the potential for something to start, you know? So I still don't feel safe about what's going to happen next. Yeah, we do have drones that shoot back. We have drones that shoot first.
Frosted is asking the important question: how many turkeys would it take to fill it? That is a reference to Mystery Science Theater.
Yeah,
There's
MST3K.
a superhero turkey volume guessing man.
Yeah.
Well, I guess somebody's gonna have to convince the mams that it's time to get ready to sign up for World War III. I don't know how that's gonna work.
Mm-hmm. Well, I saw Vince on Twitter was saying, you've been shitting on men for 6 years now. Now you need us to die in the Ukraine. So you're being nice to us. Why don't you get a blue-head lesbian to go die in the Ukraine for you?
You know, the isn't the ERA on the table in Congress right now? If they pass that, that puts women on the battlefield.
No, hope they enjoy it.
Yeah. I don't know what missile they used. What missile did they use? AIM-9? They didn't use a missile. Oh, you mean for the balloon? I have no idea.
As funny as it is to say that, we know that as soon as it came down to actually putting women on the front lines, oh, no, we'll make an exception. They don't need equal rights here. Oh, we'll make an exception there. And before you know it, it'll be exactly like it is now.
Yeah. Well, what does Bill Burr say, that there's no feminists in a house fire?
Yeah.
Or if you do get any women, it's going to be the crazy ones that are honestly going to take everybody because they don't understand reality. And that's the other fear I have, because you do have a league of feminists who are crazy enough to think that men are women. They literally do try to convince themselves, like, you know, you hear them talking and you know that this is their cult language, that they're trying to convince themselves that men are women. But those women are going to go in there into the military thinking that they're going to do this kind of thing and get a lot of other people killed.
Yeah. That's
what I think is going to happen, because it's not that I don't think women can be in the military. I think the military knows where women can be, and that's where they should be, because they've learned that's where they can be. But there's too many women in charge who don't want to listen to anybody else for their advice, and that's going to take a lot of people. At least up here.
They're talking about the weaponry they use to shoot down the balloon in chat, and Skep says the AIM-9 is a pretty mature tech. You can mount those on a flying grapefruit. That's hilarious. It's funny. Yeah, everybody was kind of pissed off that Biden waited until it got off land before they shot it down. But I mean, they teach you as you know, at least for the police force, that you're responsible for every bullet. So if you fire a missile and it misses and you're not able to recover it or self-destruct it, I don't even know if some of these weapons can be self-destructed, that's going to hit someone's house. You know, you can't just fire over land and hope everything goes well. Even if you do hit the balloon, how much damage is the balloon going to cause when it crashes down on someone's car? So for as much as people got pissed at him, I was like, yeah, well, don't feel like I'm quite that pissed. Oh, Assassin says that's not what they're talking about. It's impossible to keep up with you guys. You're much faster than I am. I'm trying to run 2 streams here. Give me a break. It's 10 o'clock. You guys have anything else you want to cover before we get out of here?
No, I'm good.
I'm actually gonna separate this from the exit of the stream. starting next week on the Rumble side of the broadcast, there will be a pre-show before the show starts. So whenever all three of us manage to get together for the 9 o'clock show, whatever time that is, we'll actually be starting the show on Rumble first. So you guys will get a chance to see the behind the scenes stuff before the show actually goes live. And we'll be doing that only on Rumble. So if you want to hear what we're chit-chatting about, the bullshit that we say when we're off air on YouTube, starting next week, next Wednesday, the Rumble stream will start before 9 o'clock, depending when everyone gets here. If we all get here at 8:30, it starts at 8:30. If we get here at 20 of, then it starts at 20 of. But we're going to start doing that with our Rumble stream. I want to differentiate the Rumble stream, and we have a lot more leeway over there. So we can say whatever the fuck we want over on Rumble. So that's why the pre-show is going to have that advantage. Anyway, I was planning on saying that as the music was rolling, but I realized maybe people might hear the music and just tune out. So I figured I'd separate that out. So, but we'll go ahead and get out of here. I appreciate everybody hanging out tonight. Thanks as always for chatting with us. If you can't wait for the next Wednesday show, remember the Minions are live every evening, including weekends, with most shows starting around 11:30 p.m. Eastern, 7 days a week. Host and start times are linked in the description down below. That's the normal part of the show. We will be back next Wednesday at 9 p.m. as usual. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. We'll see you again next week.
Earlier then, if you're on Rumble.
Yeah, earlier then if you're on Rumble. Get a chance to watch the pre-show and hear us say really stupid things.
Yeah.
That's the fun part. Anyway, have a great night, everybody.
Have a good one, guys.